Welcome to Pashupatinath temple. It's a bit of a hard one to say, and we are here to basically explore the Hindu tradition of cremation and reincarnation. Two most important events in life is birth and death, obviously. So it's a very special, sacred place. This is where people come to be cremated. There's wood piled up ready for cremation. And there's obviously bodies being blessed in the river and purified over there. So I'm going to do my best to explain to you the process of reincarnation, cremation, rebirth, and the Hindu beliefs surrounding the idea behind cremation and why they do it. In Hinduism, there is the belief that you have a soul that is eternal. So of course, the body is not eternal, but the soul is. Now, this body is just a vessel for this life's purpose. And the purpose for a Hindu in their lives is to follow Dharma. Now, Dharma it's a harder concept. It doesn't translate so well into English, but it basically means to follow the ideal of one's purpose, one's life. So for example, be honest, be truthful, these kinds of things. A Hindu will try to follow their Dharma. Hindus believe that the body is made up of 5 basic parts, and that is earth, water, fire, air, and space, or sky it's sometimes called. So think about it like this, like a fire burns the body, it turns you into ash, which is earth, it turns you into gases, carbon dioxide and various gases, which is air. The space that you've taken up also dissipates, so you've given back that space, and the water in your body you've given back to the one universe. This body that is made up of these 5 principal parts is not eternal, as I said earlier, but the soul is. Once you die, you will be reincarnated. So you could be reincarnated into what's considered a higher life or a lower life. So for example, if you're a good person and you followed your Dharma and you did good in your lifetime, then you would have good karma. If you have good karma, then it means that you will have a better life or a good life in the next life. It's like a ladder. So for example, if I was a really bad person, I may even come back as not even human. And this is something that Hindus and Buddhists both really almost scared, worried. They don't want this to happen, because anything below a human life is obviously more painful, it's dirtier, there's just more suffering involved. For example, if I was a bad person, I could come back as a stray street dog. That would be a terrible life compared to the life that I have as a human being. This cycle is called samsara, this birth and death and rebirth. In order to break that, you have to reach moksha, or in Buddhism, sometimes they call it nirvana. Built up good karma, then you can receive moksha, which is this break in this almost endless cycle of death and rebirth. We'll now go through the process of cremation. In order to burn the body, they only use natural materials sourced from the 5 elements that the body is made out of. So they use about 500 kilograms of wood. They use honey, milk and butter. The honey and the milk are to purify the body. Honey is a sacred material in most religions actually, and milk comes from the bull, which is why it is holy, it's sacred, so it washes the body even further, it purifies the body. Like I say, they use about 500 kilograms of this hard wood here. This is obviously like half a ton of hard wood. Now, you think the body must be quite hard to burn. You know, you have to get it really hot. And so what they do is they use butter. Now they use butter as almost like an accelerant for the fire, so it's flammable, and they do this because it helps the body burn much easier. It helps the body burn similar to how petrol will help a body burn. And again, it's sacred because it's taken from the bull, which is a holy animal. Now, they also use hay or straw to help burn the body. They cover the body in hay or straw. So if I actually went over to this cremation here, you probably wouldn't see the body because it'd still be covered in its linen, its robes, and it'll be covered in hay or straw. Now the hay or straw, it burns really quickly, but it creates almost like an oven. It caps the fire, so the heat is trapped inside the cavity where the body is, basically. And so this helps to burn the body. It takes about 3 to 5 hours, depending on the size of the body, for it to completely burn down. Now, I don't know if there's still bone left. There must be, but when I was watching the cremation, you can see here, this is where the pyre goes. And when I was watching this get cleaned off, they were just cleaning off ashes, and what I was very sure was just bits of wood. So I'm not sure if they completely burn the body or not, but once they burn the body, they clean it off into the river, into the Bagmati river. So here we are. You can see here that this is ash. So from this point onwards, the river is full of human remains and ash. And you can see this here. This is a viewing gallery. Now this looks like an older one. They've extended the grounds. They've added more areas where you can cremate bodies because obviously the population has increased. This looks like more of an original one. Now you can see where the soot has changed the color of the building. You can see here that it's all very blackened, and in fact it's much more blackened or discolored on the ceiling than it is on, say, the floor. Obviously this is because smoke rises. Now this is human remains. You know, there's human remains in the air. I'm breathing it in now, the smoke. It's obviously, well, I was told that it smells like spices. And just smoke, hardwood, pine and spices, that kind of smell. And it's true, it doesn't smell bad at all. There was a slight smell of almost burnt hair in the air earlier. But yeah, other than that, it doesn't smell at all. It feels very clean, to be honest with you. It seems like a very clean way of getting rid of, it seems like a very clean way of passing the body back to the universe, the one universe that Hindus believe in. And just downstream of the cremations, they've obviously got the piles of burnt wood. You can see here that not all of the wood burns away, so they just collect it up. Maybe they're collecting it up to dry it so that, you know, it can be used for another cremation. I'm really not sure. Richer people are buried with jewelry, silver and gold. They might have some gold in their teeth. Some people actually come in and dredge the bottom of the river, and it also it's basically like treasure hunting. And also another little fact that shocked me when I read about it is that downstream of the cremations, there are people that clean their clothes in it. And they clean their clothes in the water that's mixed with the ash and the soot because it contains fat. The fat and the ash help to break down dirt. This is believed to be how soap was invented, was that people would wash themselves downstream from where there were cremations, and they would find themselves cleaner and their clothes cleaner. So yeah, little fact for you, it's apparently how soap was made, or as how soap was discovered. Cremations in the river and people just washing their clothes and finding out that it's more effective. They find out that it's more effective. It's kind of just one of those things, these little crazy stories in human history. It's like I've always wanted to talk to the first man who milked a cow. It seems very strange to be sat watching a person's body burn away on a pyre, because in my culture in England we don't do this. There are many people get cremated, but it's done in a machine. It's done in like a big cremation oven. It's done out of sight of everyone apart from the crematorium technicians. It's death in the UK, in our culture, my culture, is still very taboo. I don't know why. I can't explain to you why it's taboo in my culture, but it's not so taboo in Eastern culture. This is really beautiful. You can see all the flowers. This is a pyre. This is where someone is going to be cremated. They're just preparing it with all these beautiful marigolds. All one colour as well, one shade of orange, absolutely beautiful. I don't know why this particular person is going to get a cremation here amongst all these beautiful flowers. I don't know if it's a special person. I don't know if it's maybe someone that's just rich and got more money. Maybe someone can help me in telling me, educating me why this is so different to the other cremations that I've seen today. You can see them blowing out of a conch shell over there, and so they've laid the body down on a stone at an angle like this, like a bed, with a foot towards the river, and they're now blessing it. The family, the mourners, they're all blessing it. They're going through those rituals and those rites now. That maybe it's the person that will be cremated here, over there, amongst that crowd. I'm sure many people would want me to go over there and film a closer look, a closer experience, but this is as close as I'm prepared to go at this point. Like I say, I don't want to show anybody any actual body, anything that's wrapped up or, you know, keeps the person anonymous can go in the video. But other than that, where they're unwrapped over there, is just something that I'm not personally prepared to film, because I think I've taught you enough by not doing that today. It feels almost humbling, to be honest with you, to be experiencing you know, such an important part of the Hindu faith, religion, belief, construct. It's actually it's a much more peaceful affair than I thought it would be. I didn't realise how almost beautiful the ceremony is. It's a very peaceful, very quiet ceremony. I've seen many people mourning and crying aloud today, but that's to be expected, obviously. Many people believe that Hinduism is a polytheistic religion. In actual fact, if you take it down to its very core, Hinduism is the belief in one universe, in one God. The fact that everything that exists, all of the universe, every part of it is one. It is not separate, so I am not separate from these stones that make up this set of steps. So everything is one. Hindus believe in the Atman and the Brahman. Brahman is the whole universe, everything in the universe. So it's these stones, for example, and it's also me and everyone else, every other atom in the universe. That is Brahman. That is one universe. It is just one. That is the core truth in Hinduism, and in fact beyond Hinduism, in the universe. It's the one core truth of the universe. So hello. You might think, well, I feel very separate from these stones. I feel very separate from everybody else. I feel separate from the sky, the moon, the sun. So this is my Atman. My spirit, my soul is one Atman that is part of Brahman, but for me is separate. For my human experience, this is separate. I am not separate. This is just a construct set up by the human mind in order to understand the universe and the human ego. Now, hello. Now you can think of Brahman and Atman as an ocean. The whole ocean is the universe, is Brahman, and you think if you can see a raindrop hitting that ocean, and then that sudden that rebound of energy that throws up that drop out of the surface of the ocean just for a split second for it then to fall back into the ocean, that drop of water that flies out of the ocean, that is that one spark, that is one piece of energy that suddenly becomes separate, or it believes itself as separate. So for example, I believe I'm separate from these stones and from this universe. That is the Atman, where in actual fact it is one universe. I am not separate from anything in this universe. I am made up of universe in just the same way that that stone is made up of universe, and there is just one universe. I am just one spark of energy within the universe that is constructed in such a way that I believe that I am separate from the universe, but in fact I am not. And so the cremation here is actually quite a humbling experience for me, because I believe in this. I believe in the Atman and the Brahman. It's one of my core principles of the way I live my life. And so to see a person, a human being, being burnt, and its constituents going back into the 5 elements of the universe, it's quite interesting. It shows me, it explains to me, or it helps me understand that the Atman and the Brahman are not separate. So you are not separate from me. Every single person that's watching this video, you are not separate from me. You are not separate from these stones. You're not even separate from the mud in the river or of any other atom in the universe. And it's very interesting because we are all made up of exactly the same stuff, whether it be human flesh or this stone or that monkey over there eating a carrot. We're all made of exactly the same stuff. If you break it down, if you break the universe down to its smallest constituent, you will find not the atom, but what creates all of the subatomic particles, which is the string, the wire of energy. So everything is made up of just these little strings of energy, these little pieces of energy that are vibrating in a certain way that creates matter. And everything in the universe, if you break it all down, doesn't matter whether it's my hand, whether it's this rock, whether it's this bird crap, it is all created, it is all made out of strings, little pieces of energy. We are all just pieces of vibrating energy. That's all the universe is. It is just strings of energy, and they are put together, amalgamated in a certain way that creates a certain form. For example, my body, or that pigeon over there, or these rock steps. This belief in the Atman and the Brahman, and in fact the Brahman being one and all, everything being one, is a super interesting idea to me. For me, it's the truth that everything is one. We're not separate for anything else. It's just I am the energy that has amalgamated into my form is a human body right now. It's borrowed from the universe. This body will have to be given back to the universe because it isn't separate from the universe. It is still one universe. I'm still one universe. This is still one universe. I'm a human and this is a rock, but we're still one universe. There is nothing between us that is any different other than the fact that we are of different form, but we are still just universe, pieces of the universe in one particular form for a very temporary time as well. Which also brings us to the cremation. So, you know, our bodies are temporary. Hello. Hello. So our bodies are obviously temporary, and Hindus believe this is the fastest way of giving the body back to the universe, for that Atman, that spark, that soul, to then carry on in the cycle of samsara, the cycle of rebirth and death. And of course, we can't have rebirth without death. Now, the Hindus don't believe that the cremation releases the soul from the body. The soul releases from the body at death, but it helps. But some Hindus and some Buddhists as well also believe that the cremation helps the soul to move on. So, for example, some Hindus may believe that there is a soul. The souls of these bodies here, these people, are still lingering. once you get rid of the body, completely return it back to the universe, the one universe and the 5 elements, then the soul can more easily move on. There is no vessel for this soul to carry on. It then becomes reborn. And it's interesting because science and Hinduism, for me, I find it hard to call myself a Hindu because I am a white Westerner and people don't really take you seriously, so there's no point in calling yourself a Hindu. But for me, the principles of Hinduism, what I've said today is very basic, you can go very deep, but the principles of Hinduism just seemed like complete truth to me. One thing that's super interesting is scientists believe that there is either a multiverse, so there's multiple universes all in these little bubbles next to each other, and some scientists believe that the universe is infinite and constantly explodes with the Big Bang, with an event such as the Big Bang, and after time it then retracts into the singularity, one single point. So it explodes, and then at some point, due to the way that energy works and the way that gravity works and the way that black holes work, scientists believe that you have the big crunch. So after the Big Bang, after some time, the universe will then, instead of expand, it'll expand to its one point, all of a sudden it will then implode. It will then implode into one singularity, and then after time it will then explode again. And some scientists believe that this is infinite, so the universe is in constant change of form, from the singularity into the Big Bang, the explosion, the expansion of the universe, the big stretch, and then all of a sudden for it to crunch, for it to implode into, again, the singularity again. So there's a cycle of birth, preservation and death. And so Hindus believe in Brahman, Vishnu and Shiva. Obviously creation, Brahma, Vishnu, preservation, and Shiva, destruction, the death of the universe. And these 3 principles, whether you believe that there is a God up there that looks like the paintings on the wall of Shiva or Brahma or Vishnu, whether you believe in that or not, the core principles, the philosophies of Hinduism is just truth, because for the universe to be here you need creation. For existence, for you to have existence, you need creation and preservation. For you to then have existence, you need destruction, because you can't, if one universe exists, if you try to create it again, you're just multiplying it. You're not creating it. It already exists. So you must have destruction for that rebirth, for that creation. And so there seems to be this infinite cycle of creation, preservation, destruction, and rebirth again, creation again. And this is something that we see in every aspect of the universe. It's very interesting. If the universe is infinite and it's constantly going through these cycles of creation and destruction, then surely at some point I will be born again, because it's infinite. Infinity is infinity. It carries on. That means that all possibilities in the universe that can exist will exist if the universe is infinite. So will I come back as a monkey? Will I come back as a dog? Will I come back as a king? Will I come back as a poor man? Well, yes, because every string of the universe, every small constituent of the universe that is the strings of energy, if that is infinite, then it is necessary to believe that I will come back as a conscious being. Blows my mind anyway. is it's very hard for me to explain what I believe and why I believe it, because quite often words aren't as descriptive. There aren't the philosophies, the ideas are very abstract, and so the words don't quite relate to the ideologies. But there you go. That's my belief. I believe in Hindu philosophy. I would consider myself Hindu in that way, but I'm not a religious Hindu, so I don't believe that, for example, Shiva is a humanoid form up in the sky with blue skin. Shiva is in everything, is as a part of everything. Shiva is in me. Shiva is part of the universe. It is a necessary principle of the universe. Destruction, creation, preservation, destruction is in every form of the universe, in my body, in that grass, in the universe itself. And so you do have the three gods. In Hinduism, the philosophies and the ideas are personified as, or more human, more the ideas are personified and they're humanized so that people can understand these really abstract beliefs and ideologies much more easier. This is a Linga, and this is a representation of Shiva, the god. But on top of that, it's also a representation of the Holy Trinity of creation, preservation, and destruction. So you have here the base, which it represents creation. So without creation, there is no basis for preservation or destruction. So you have this base form here. Then you have the true form of preservation here. You can see here that this is shaped. It's almost, maybe it's hexagonal. And this is representing obviously preservation and the god Vishnu. So you've got Brahma and Vishnu here. And then the top of the Linga, you can see how it turns formless, how it ends. You can see the form is here, this straight form, and then it ceases to exist. You see that? That is the destruction of the form. So in this one symbol here, you have the Linga, you have the representation of male and female, which you need for creation, and you have the representation of the Trinity of Brahman, Vishnu and Shiva. It was really hard to stay concentrating there whilst everyone was watching me, and they were taking pictures too.